You are not going to believe it, but apparently Millie Bobby Brown says that she is ready to move on from the world of Stranger Things. Now, if you're a fan of the show, I know that probably hurt to hear, but we're going to talk about why she said that and what that actually means moving forward, not only for season 5, but also for the bigger picture of Stranger Things. Because if you remember, last year the Duffer Brothers announced that they are working on Stranger Things spin-off shows. They actually just announced the first one that's coming out later this year, but first we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. Having the lead star of their show, Eleven herself, say that she's ready to be done with the Stranger Things universe is pretty crazy. Yeah, I might have shed a little baby tear, but part of me understands why. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Michael J, and this is legally the only channel that exists in the Upside Down. So if you love Stranger Things, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. Now, like I was saying, immediately we're pretty safe. The Stranger Things story started off with season 1 and will purposefully end with season 5. We've followed Eleven since she was just a tiny test subject, as she stumbled into the boys' lives and won our hearts over as we continue to watch them grow. Unfortunately, some shows and even series of movies aren't greenlit from start to finish. They'll start a story and run a couple of seasons or make the first couple of movies, and if they're not successful enough or can't maintain a profitable amount of viewership, they'll just outright cancel the show before the writers were planning on ending it. This stops the show abruptly with no conclusion, or most times it'll force the writers to end the story early, rewriting a new ending that feels crammed and pointless. Characters' arcs feel unfinished. You don't understand why the plot made such drastic changes and then just ended, and sometimes it'll leave a bad taste in your mouth rewatching the earlier seasons, knowing that some big execs are the reason the show doesn't end well. Thankfully, that's not the case with Stranger Things. It's such a fan favorite that the Duffer Brothers have the luxury of making it as long as they would like. It makes so much money each season that you might wonder why they're stopping it so early, but honestly, if you have a gem like this, you don't want to stretch it thin. The viewers will be able to tell that they're trying to milk it for all the money they can, and it'll eventually feel like filler. I hate to say it, but look at Flash. It just ended after 9 seasons, and seasons 1 and 2 were leagues above the last 7 seasons. I think that 5 seasons of Stranger Things is a good place to end it. The Duffer Brothers are ending it on their terms, which is what it's all about. It's going to be their story they want to tell. Sometimes when actors are stuck in a popular show or a popular character role too long, it becomes who they are in that world, in that industry. If the actor is still aspiring to do a lot more acting in their career, being this one thing for so long starts to lock them into being typecast as only that type of character in the future, limiting their options and sometimes halting their career altogether. Now, usually the lead actors are fine, but you gotta think about everyone else this affects, all the side characters as well. I think this is where Millie Bobby Brown is coming from. Yes, she's still doing Enola Holmes in the Godzilla movies, but other than that, she's not doing too much. She's finally starring in 2 Netflix movies this year and next year, but that's it. I'm sure she's at a point where she's ready to move on and take on the next acting challenge. Because you gotta think about it, she's played this role of Eleven since she was 11 years old. It's been 7 or 8 years now, and they still have season 5 to film. That's a long time. When they first agreed to these roles, I'm not sure if they even knew it would make it past the first season, let alone 4 more. I love Millie Bobby Brown as Eleven. She will always be the Eleven I think of. I don't think they're going to replace her. All the other actors are amazing as well. Honestly, the end of season 5 is going to be so emotional. Not only the end of a season, but the end of the entire show, the entire era. And Millie Bobby Brown saying that she's ready to move on also makes me slightly worried that they could kill off Eleven this season to solidify Millie Bobby Brown's departure from the show. I've looked at a lot of theories online. I've made a lot of theories online. I've made quite a few videos theorizing how they might end the show, and Eleven sacrificing herself to kill Vecna once and for all just to save everybody that has grown to love her would be the biggest sacrifice they could possibly make in the show. Not only that, it would also be one of the most emotional ways that they could end the show. We've already seen them try to kill off Hopper and spend all of season 4 bringing him back. I really don't think they're going to kill him off again in the end. Yeah, Mike could die and sacrifice himself, the leader for Eleven and his friends. That would be super emotional. But if they really wanted to end on a bad note, they could kill everybody off since the show's ending. But honestly, I don't think a lot of the fans would like that. They'd have to be geniuses to figure out a way to do that without pissing off all the fans and keeping it strictly emotional. The biggest question is if they're going to follow suit with the majority of the seasons they've done previously and end on a somewhat good note. The first 3 seasons all end like that. Yeah, there's a PS tease of another problem they'll face the next season, but everyone for the most part is pretty happy. Sacrifices were made, but the majority of the main cast moves on. Season 4 and 5 are different though. Season 4 is Infinity War and Season 5 is Endgame. 4 leaves off with the heroes defeated. Vecna won. He opened a portal through the middle of Hawkins big enough to bring the entire Upside Down into Hawkins, Indiana. Max is still stuck in a coma, Eddie is dead, the town is in shambles, and they've set up Season 5 to have the surviving heroes go against the baddie and save the world as much as they can. And even though the good guys technically won in Endgame, they still had to make the biggest sacrifice of all. It all started with Iron Man and that's how it ended. Same thing with Stranger Things. It would be poetic almost. Everything started with 11 in season 1. Even last season, we actually learned that she started the Upside Down too by banishing Henry there in 79. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it ends. We've watched her grow up for 4 seasons now. We've seen so many people come to love and care for her and treat her like a sister, a daughter, take her in as the family that she never had. Her making that sacrifice to save everyone that has grown to love her would send a waterfall of tears down everybody's eyes. Now, the biggest reason I think that they would ever choose to not kill 11 off this season is because of one word: spin-offs. Wait, maybe that's 2 words, but not immediately. Their first spin-off will actually be a stage play. Yes, that's right, a live prequel show. I made a video about it. You should definitely go watch it. It puts all the details in what they're planning on doing there. I'll put a card at the end of this video, but it's actually going to be a prequel and take place before season 1 and follow young Henry Creel as soon as his family moves to Hawkins during the time that he's discovering his powers. Young Jopper in high school will be in it as well, which I am so excited for, but I don't think 11 is going to be in this one. Probably she's not even going to be mentioned. They are working on a spin-off television show they'll most likely bring to Netflix as well, but they've already announced that this will be an entirely new story. That means, yes, it'll take place in the same world as Stranger Things, but it will most likely be an entirely new cast of characters that does not include 11. Hopefully, if it's good, it'll last for a couple of seasons. Maybe once they wrap that story, they'll go for another one, but that's not what I'm worried about. I think that it is entirely possible that after season 5, all of the cast will eventually come back and make a season of Stranger Things 10 years later or 30 years later. Unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you know by now that anyone and everyone is remaking everything that they have ever made before. We're talking about getting Toy Story 4 and 5. We're getting Incredibles 2. We're getting Buzz Lightyear remakes. Indiana Jones 5 is coming out. Disney is remaking everything they've ever made before, but in live action. They're still making new movies, but anything popular is being milked for as much as possible, with shows returning like iCarly or Fuller House, even High School Musical and Gossip Girl. It's only a matter of time before the actors or directors or the studio wants more money and they offer them such an insane amount of money to come back for another show in 10 to 20 years, just revisiting the characters after some time has passed and giving the fans of the show another shot of nostalgia. In 15 years, I would love to see a Stranger Things spin-off, maybe following 11 and Mike as they're married with kids and trying to be normal as their kids get powers and a new threat appears or something. I think that would be a great show, but it's a little hard to do that if 11 is dead. I know they brought back Hopper, but I wouldn't want them to tease 11 coming back after a sacrifice like that. It's okay with Hopper because they teased his survival immediately and left it as a cliffhanger, but if they milk the entire ending emotionally for 11's death and then bring back another character, I feel like it would just take away from how much her sacrifice really meant, and it makes it feel like she has that annoying plot armor that every movie character seems to have these days. Now, I totally understand that it is time that a lot of these younger actors, especially Millie Bobby Brown, are ready to move on with their careers after season 5. I'm sure that we'll have a great ending to the show. I'm just curious how much they're planning for any future spin-offs and what they're going to do with the characters at the end of this season, because if they've planned on having 11 sacrifice herself at the end of the story since the beginning, I don't think they wouldn't kill her off. I guess that we're just going to have to strap in and see what happens on this emotional roller coaster when it gets here. But tell me what you think about this. Let me know if there's any other Stranger Things you want me to cover. I know there's not too much going on right now, but I've been thinking about covering a book or doing a summary of a comic or something. Maybe if you guys would watch that, we'll try one. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the comments. Peace.